And Israel, as you know, with you could say Israel and numerous countries if you want to really know the truth, but Israel and Iran, and we'll see where that goes. But when you think of Israel, we've done the biggest thing of all. We have peace in the Middle East right now. That's bigger than people said it couldn't be done. For 3,000 years, they've been talking about Middle East. They said it couldn't be done. And you look at what's happened in Gaza. And one of the keys to it was when we took those beautiful, magnificent, we just ordered 22 more of them, updated model. The B-2 bombers are incredible. I never understood the B-2 bomber. I'd watch, it's a wing. And I've never quite understood that, Johnny. I'd look at it, I'd say it was beautiful, but what does it do? It carries very big bombs. And it went into Iran, and it totally decimated the nuclear potential. And when it decimated that, all of a sudden we had peace in the Middle East because there was a black cloud hanging over the Middle East, and if that wasn't done, that cloud would have been there. And countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like Qatar, countries like, nobody could have signed. You would have had that threat. Nobody could have had, you couldn't have had peace in the Middle East. So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. Well, you're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days. But this meeting today is proof with determined leadership, nothing is impossible. When I took office, the war in Gaza was raging with thousands of people being killed and no end in sight. Today, thanks to unrelenting diplomacy and the commitment of many of the great people in this room, we have 59 countries signed up on Gaza. Think of that. We have, it's amazing. But all the people, many, really so many in this room, the war in Gaza is over. It's over. There are little flames. Hamas has been, I think they're going to give up their weapons, which is what they promised. If they don't, it'll be, they'll be harshly met, very harshly met. They don't want that. All this stuff like they don't mind dying. They told me that's not true. Everyone said, oh, they don't mind dying. No, they don't want to die. They said, we don't want to die. People don't want to die. The ceasefire was held, and every last remaining hostage, both living and dead, has been returned back home. Think of that. That was an impossibility. And we did hundreds of hostages, but the last 20, and I always said to Steve and Jared, I said, the last 20 are going to be very tough, very, very tough. And we got them back. We got the living back, and then we only got about 16 of the dead, and we said, well, you got to get them all. You promised them all. And they dug and dug and dug. You can imagine it's a job that's brutal. And Hamas really did a lot of that work. And you got to give them credit for that. They brought the last one home a week ago, and we got all 28 of them, living and dead. The amazing thing, because I've never seen anything quite like it, the parents of the dead, they knew their boy was dead. This case, boys, all boys, men, but to the parents' boys. They knew their boy was dead. They wanted that dead body as much as if he were alive. And when they got them back, there was great sadness, but there was great joy, too. They wanted it as much as the people that got their sons back alive. But we got a lot of people before those 20, Steve, what nobody talks about. But, hundreds of people. We did a good job, and you guys did a fantastic job. I want to thank every nation that helped us achieve this monumental breakthrough, saving countless lives, and really bringing peace and bringing the concept of peace, because nobody thought peace in the Middle East. I've always heard peace in the Middle East is impossible, and it's turned out not to be. And we do have some work to do with Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You can't have peace in the Middle East if they have a nuclear weapon. And they can't have a nuclear weapon, and they've been told that very strongly. Since the hard-won ceasefire of last October, the United States and our partners have facilitated the delivery of vast amounts of humanitarian aid, numbers that nobody's ever seen before. In November, the United Nations Security Council unanimously approved the Board of Peace. And last month in Davos, we welcomed over 24 members to this very important new organization. And we are very closely working with the United Nations. In fact, I'm going to speak to the Secretary General in a little while. He's a good man. And I've had a good relationship. Other than in my last speech, they did turn off my teleprompter.